Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, you ready to call to orders, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Today is January 14th, 2016. This is the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The first item on the expedited docket is Chrysovalis Minidakis, Jimmy Seafood, Inc. Trade name is Jimmy Seafood at 6526 Hollowbird Avenue. This is a Class B, beer, wine, and liquor, an application for transfer of ownership, a request to add live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premises catering.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky representing the applicant. This is a request to add the live entertainment to the license. Over a period of years, it's Zone B3, which means it is acceptable to have live entertainment. They've had it there. UNOs were applied for in the past, but for some reason it's not shown up on the application or on the license, so it was felt at this time it'd be best to go ahead and have it with a new UNO. I've supplied, and I will give, if I can, Mr. Chairman, each one of a copy from it. Mr. Jeffrey Beal indicated that it is appropriate for live entertainment, and I would indicate to the board that we have filed for the UNO, and they're just waiting the decision today, and then they'll go ahead and do the rest of the inspections.
It's part of your file. That letter is part of the file.
I have an issue with page 4 of the application. It hasn't been filled out.
Well, he's a licensee. That page indicates that the person is a fit and proper person to have the license. So he already is a licensee.
And we're making some amendments for these, for when we're doing these transfers, and so that if those things are not applicable, that that they won't be included. And that'll be approved by the comptroller, as we mentioned.
They don't have you don't have another form that says that, so you would be right, Madam Commissioner, if it would be a transfer of ownership, but he's been the
Still owns
licensee there.
It's talking about the top of the page, not the bottom. Yeah, the top of the page is not filled out.
Well, where would you fill it out? If you read it, the form is incorrect. There's no place for the landlord to sign. I think you're going to correct that form, aren't you?
We're gonna, this is one of those things that's on here that we are working to fix on here. But if you can, we can just amend it and note the information. I think that would be, if that's acceptable to both the commissioner and to the attorney, we can do that.
Okay.
It's fine.
Go in the original file.
We can make the addition before they come down and pick it up.
Okay. If that's what the board can add that into the order.
How big is live entertainment, not live entertainment, the outdoor seating going to be?
It's really a misnomer, because I think when they originally were granting it, they had an outdoor garden. That's since not been there. So the outdoor is really a misnomer, which is right next to the building, so it's not a big issue here.
Okay.
It was the beer garden originally.
Yeah, like Bud's used to have a beer garden, and they filled it in, but it said beer garden in there forever, ever since Prohibition.
It would be a nice view looking across to the Hollowbird Park, Industrial Park. Never mind.
Well,
Mr. No,
I just want to say this.
I don't want to.
I want to tell you one little thing.
Go ahead.
My cousin Vaj comes in. He lived on Boston Street his whole life at Julian's Cocktail Lounge. With regard to, McGrath's, he comes back and he says, "What happened to Baltimore?" That's what he says. So you know what? I took him down to Fells Point, show him the crescent, and then he said, "This is good."
Okay.
And I sent him back to Phoenix.
Okay.
All right.
Find under Article 2B, Section 10202A2, little, triple I, that
Grant.
they granted, there's no impediments to granting the request, so I'm a yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm a yes.
And we will make that change.
Okay, that's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, John, you.
The next item on the docket it has been postponed. That was at 1502 Clipper Road. The next item that I have is Jasveer Mavi, trade name pending, at 625-27 North Glover Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor, an application of transfer of ownership.
Hey, thank you.
You're back.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky representing the applicant. This is an application to transfer license at 625-27 North Glover Street. It's an existing location. The applicant in this case has had prior experience working for one of his relatives on Washington Boulevard. He'll be the full-time operator. He's buying the property also. We're waiting the approval of the board to go to settlement. He's going to take the alcohol awareness course. Small place hire, make no changes. He'll probably have 3 or 4 people from the community if appropriate, and he's otherwise qualified to go ahead and do a transfer.
Everyone has got the money? Usually has got the money.
Oh, yeah, well, I didn't even see that. How are they financing it, Mel? Mr. Kudinski?
He's the financing and seller financing involved
Okay.
on that. This place probably has a more colorful history about it. It was one time owned by Disha Madden, the Hawaiian volcano, as we know her from the block. You can look it up. It's an interesting story. It really is.
You have apparently an email in here about an issue of citizenship.
I'm a citizen. I was born here. No,
Buyer,
that should not be an issue,
under the
as
old rule.
indicated, both in the old case under the M case and under the new rules. It's no longer required.
Fit and proper person? Yes.
Yes.
Where in Washington Boulevard did he?
1200 block or so. It's his
1269.
1269.
He's not supposed to testify if he's
No,
not.
no. Well,
sworn in,
I'm just giving you
Just getting the information.
Because he's gonna
No, we're okay.
tell me.
It's okay with me.
Under Article 2B, Section 10202A2, triple I, believe it meets the requirements. I'm a yes.
Okay.
Elizabeth.
I'm a yes.
That's 3 yeses, Mr. Ganitsky. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day. Bye.
Let me go back on the thing then, okay? Thank you, Albert.
He's back.
What's going on?
That's him. He's back. She's waiting for him to give her the
Okay.
so, yeah.
Habati Gibraltar Shibahato. This is Dasmere Liquor and Grocery, 2331 East Federal Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor transfer of ownership.
Once again, for the record, Melvin J. Kanensky representing the applicant. This application transfer an existing Class A license. The place is open and operating. The applicant in this case has had prior experience. He worked at 620A North Utah Street for A1 Deli, which has a Class A license for the past 2 or 3 years. He's also had his own business and grocery business on Bayard Street. And he will take the alcohol awareness course. He familiarize himself with the rules and regulations. Liquor Board, he's also going to hire any people from that area that would be applicable to help work the establishment. And this case here, he's just buying the business, and there'll be a lease involved with the landlord, and we have talked to the landlord already.
Answer my question,
Mm-hmm.
please.
Is he buying a business?
Just a
also?
business.
And he has a lease with the landlord for the property.
Yeah, I talked to the landlord, and they're waiting for the they're going to get a new lease depending on the outcome of the board.
Where's the financing coming from?
He has his own personal funds from his business. He owns a business on Bayard Street where he lives, 19, I think it's 1212 Bayard Street. You're asking me about the diagram?
What goes into that space? I mean, it's just a space.
That's just an open space. I think that's the space for storage. They're showing that is not a space.
I see store,
Yeah,
door.
right. And then you see storage and basement. This is not a space.
What's,
That's just open space. That's not part of our.
oh,
we're only
that's not
talking-
part of your exhibit.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
this is your exhibit.
Yeah, he miniaturized it.
Oh, that's your exhibit.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
oh, okay.
It would be nice if you say not part of exhibit. So I won't get confused.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Questions from the commissioners?
When is he taking the alcohol course? Awareness course?
He'll have to take it prior to him coming in and picking the license up. As when you give your, assume you give your approval, he has to then get his UNO, building, fire, electrical, health, and now plumbing. And then he'll have the alcohol awareness certificate and submit it.
He's never owned a liquor license before.
He's been in business, has a grocery store. He's worked at 620 North Utah Street for the last couple of years, working in the liquor store there.
Okay.
You said something about him hiring people from the community. Has there been contact with the community?
And well, he's been there when people are coming in, and they're waiting approval before he will finish the lease with the landlord and also hire. It's a small store, very small.
Yes?
I'm a yes.
Oh, yes, believe
Oh,
me,
yes.
the requirements under Article 2B10-202, I'm a yes, it's 3 yeses.
Thank you very much.
This is for the next one?
North Charles.
Dave
For
Thurston.
the next one? Exhibits for the next one.
Oh, okay. State Thurston, okay. What's this?
These are the same agreement.
Oh, yeah, did I give you 2 copies? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What one did you want this next?
Okay. Amy Bonnets, North Avenue Arts LLC, trade name is Motor House. That's at 120 West North Avenue. A Class D beer, wine, and liquor from 38 East 25th Street, Unit 103, to a 7-day Class D beer, wine, and liquor. Just beer and wine, excuse me, only. A request for live entertainment, outdoor table service, off-premises catering. I provided a copy of a agreement and a letter from the Charles North Group, which have been that's where attached to that should be attached to your file.
Council, just one question. Is
Yes, sir.
anyone opposed, or
No.
all these people, and
Everyone's in favor of it.
are you going to have any of them testify, or are you going to do a
I'd like to
proffer?
proceed by way of a proffer.
Go.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg Martin, on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by my colleague Justin Williams, who's to my left here, as well as the licensee applicant, Amy Bonnets, to my right, and Alan, I'm going to butcher this, Minarchik, of the Charles North Neighborhood, Charles North Civic Association? Community Association, excuse me. As Ms. Bailey Hedgepeth mentioned, this is an application to transfer the existing Class D license from 38 East 25th Street, Unit 103, to 120 West North Avenue. We've actually just been discussing this out in the hall, and we would like to withdraw our request to convert the license to a 6-day, from a 6-day beer, wine, and liquor to a 7-day beer and wine, and just proceed with the transfer of the existing 6-day beer, wine, and liquor license.
Michelle,
Now, hold it, what is this?
we're going from 7 to 6.
They're going to stay with the 6.
It's a 6 right now, we're going to keep the 6.
They're keeping the 6.
Stay with
We're not
6.
moving up to a 7.
Correct.
So beer, wine, and liquor with the 6.
Correct, yes.
Right. And just so I know, at some point in time, is this an MOU that we're going to talk about?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
The licensed premises is known as 120 West North Avenue. It's a 3-story building that's approximately 25,000 square feet, located on North Avenue between Howard Street and Maryland Avenue. It was constructed in the early 20th century as an automotive showroom. It was actually the first Ford dealership in Maryland. It was later converted to the Lombard Office Furniture Building, and from 2005 to 2012, it was operated by an artist entrepreneur who leased performance and studio space in the building. And legend has it that the Lombard Office Furniture sign was, certain letters were removed from it. It was known as the Load of Fun Building for a long time based on the letters that were remaining on the building. But it was left vacant for a while. It had some life safety issues, and North Avenue Arts LLC purchased it in August 2013 to restore as a cultural hub for the Station North Arts and Entertainment District. It's been renamed the Motor House in homage to its original use and is undergoing a $6.5 million renovation. Most of which is completed. Everything except the cafe space has been done. There's a 125-person black box performance theater on the first floor, as well as a public gallery area, 14 artist studios on the second floor, and office space for 6 arts-related organizations on the third floor. We're under construction for a 100-seat cafe that's in the works right now. It will open in September of 2016. You'll see in the file that I've handed out that there are some photographs of the renovated building in there. You can see the nice work that they've done. The licensed premises will consist of the first floor of the building, including the performance space, the cafe, and the gallery areas. There's a floor plan showing this area in the file that I've handed out. And our application does include outdoor seating and live entertainment, both of which were approved by the Zoning Board in Appeal number 2014-176, a copy of which is also in the file. As I said, the performance space is operating now. The cafe is proposed to open in September. Ms. Bonnets, who is present here today, is the president and CEO of Baltimore Arts Realty Corporation, BARCO, which owns 100% of North Avenue Arts LLC, the licensed entity. She is a resident of Baltimore City and a registered voter, and she and all managers of the cafe will take the alcoholic beverages safety training course. Ms. Bonnets is familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board. She does agree to abide by them, and our policy will be to card everyone who appears to be under 40 years old. In terms of the criteria needed to approve the transfer, the public need and desire, we have met extensively with the local community organization, the Charles North Community Association, during our development process and in support specifically of the application to transfer the license. You'll see in the file that I've handed out a letter of support from the Charles North Community Association as well as an MOU signed by both parties. We do agree with the terms of the MOU and agree to have them adopted as conditions to the license. In terms of the number and location of existing licenses and the potential effect on existing licenses for this license, this is within the moratorium area established under state law where no new licenses can be transferred into. Only Class B licenses can be created. It's bounded by 25th Street, Center Street, Howard Street, and Guilford Avenue. The license that we're transferring is located on the line, but within the area that is appropriate. And there certainly are other alcoholic beverages licenses in the vicinity, but this project is not likely to have any adverse impact on them. It will create a unique space to showcase Baltimore's vibrant and diverse urban art scene, and the ability to sell alcoholic beverages in connection with the theater and the cafe adds an important amenity to the project. Accordingly, we would request that the board approve the transfer of the license. As I said, we're withdrawing the request to convert it to a 7-day beer and wine license. And I'm happy to take any questions the board might have.
Don't you want to introduce this as an exhibit to the MOU?
Yes, I'm sorry, I thought I had mentioned it, yes.
Okay, so
I would
that-
like to ask that all the documents that are submitted in the file be introduced, yeah, as,
And, just one second. I take it that the MOU was signed by your client, that she knows the.
yes.
That's her?
Yes.
Right, I understand. And that she's aware of the contents?
Yes.
Because you explained that to her?
Absolutely.
And she's agreeable to all these
She's
things?
agreeable to all of those things.
Okay. And I know that you've covered the elements from 2B 10202A2. Just let me say this. I went to school at the University of Baltimore. The McDonald's is down the street from this, right? This neighborhood needed help. It's wonderful that you're doing this project, and I commend you for taking the risk to do what other people won't do. And I'm a yes.
All right, great. Thank you.
Just Chairman, just for the record, to note that I noted Ms. Hecker's exhibits as collectively as Exhibit 1.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Is there outdoor entertainment?
There is outdoor seating.
That will be in the front of the building?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
There's outdoor seating.
And you'll be closed one day a week?
Sundays, under the Class D license,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, I see.
And what's the performance?
It's-
It's just local performance?
It's a black box theater, small performance space. Seats 125 people.
We're having a really fantastic jazz
He's
show.
not sworn in.
Can't say anything.
Jazz show tomorrow night.
Stop there tomorrow night, okay. Okay. You know, you have a lot of college students around there,
We do.
Yes.
you know, especially with the MICA.
And that's why their intent is to card everyone who looks under 40.
He's big
Yeah.
on carding.
Yes.
Okay.
If he comes in, we'll probably card him too.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that would make him feel really happy, yeah. Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, that would make, we can't take bribes. That's, I mean, yes.
It looks like you have everything in place. I'm a yes.
For yeses,
Thank you all.
all the best.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It really needs help.
Yes. MLI.
What? We don't want to be helped
Maybe I don't want to be heard upstairs.
upstairs. Okay.
He should have like a little, like, window and say.
He was giving us a sign in the back.
He did come down.
Oh, he did? Oh, I didn't see.
I didn't see him. I saw him, but didn't pay attention.
Oh, I don't pay attention either.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
new docket.
John Stein, Ronald Burr Jr., Stay Thirsty LLC. The trade name of this is World of Beers at 1724 Whetstone Way, a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor under the provisions of Article 2B 6201D 7, $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures, facility, and a seating capacity of 75 people, and a request for and a request for live entertainment and outdoor table service. Excuse me.
She's going to let you do this by yourself?
I did one before by myself,
Okay.
or a couple before. For the record, Justin Williams from Rosenberg Martin Greenberg LLP. By myself. To the right is Ron Burr, a licensee applicant and the Baltimore City resident. To his right is John Stein, also a licensee applicant. And to his right is Diane McBee, who is the president of Stay Thirsty LLC. We, if you permission, I'll proceed by way of proffer.
Yes, sir.
Handed out to each of you a copy, folder of exhibits. I'd like to be introduced as Exhibit 1 collectively. So we are here under a Class B license request under 9-204.1 F2 Romanet 4. I think the agenda might have listed a different provision. The requirement for that license is a seating capacity that exceeds 75 persons, a capital investment of at least $700,000, and average daily receipts from food of at least 65%. By way of brief background, World of Beer currently operates in McHenry Row under a Class D license, and the current licensees, John Stein and Ronald Burr, were approved by the board in April 2015 for a transfer. But they have been in operation since 2013 and have no history of violations. Also for background, there is a general provision that prohibits new Class B licenses in Ward 24, Precinct 5 of the 46th District, which includes McHenry Row and most of Lucas Point. However, Senator George Della introduced legislation in 2008 to allow up to 3 licenses in McHenry Row with the requirements that the minimum capital investment is $700,000, seating capacity exceeds 75 persons, and the sales from the receipt of food are at least 65%. There have been 2 Class B licenses issued so far under this provision, one for the Green Turtle at 1606 Whetstone Way, and one for Umisaki at 1702 Whetstone Way. So today we're here for the 3rd license. Piazza, which is the item after you, after this one on the agenda, is located also in McHenry Row. It's sought a Class B license since it opened, however, it doesn't meet the minimum seating requirements. World of Beer has sought a Class B license earlier as well, however, the 65% food requirement was high, and they were concerned they would not meet that threshold, so they settled for a Class D license when they first opened. However, Senator Ferguson has introduced new legislation, or intends to introduce legislation that will reduce the food requirement to 51%, and therefore World of Beer is confident they'll meet that threshold. And we're here today for the Class B license, and then the following item on the agenda is a Class D transfer from World of Beer to Piazza.
Do you have Piazza as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So the licensees who will continue to be on the license are John Stein. He's here. If he were to testify, he would say he's the vice president of Stay Thirsty LLC, seeking a Class B license. For your background.
That's your exhibit. Isn't that a part of your collective exhibits?
Yes, if you like, I'll read it for you.
I know how to read.
All right.
Okay.
I'll give you the highlights of the outline.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
World of Beer is a nationwide franchise that focuses on bringing people together around beer, sports, and live music. They have an extensive beer selection. If you haven't been there before, there's a list of beer that is sampled and able to be imbibed in your file as well. There's also a sample menu for you, and they intend to make upgrades to the grill and menu as well in connection with this Class B license. As I mentioned, World of Beer is located in the McHenryville Planning and Development. There's photos in your file that show you some of the exterior and interior shots. Outdoor seating, which is requested, is permitted under the PUD, a copy of which is in the files with you. There's also a floor plan in your file which shows 76 seats. The construction budget is included in your records. It shows that total, they spent $1.25 million on construction and capital investment. Live entertainment is permitted pursuant to the BMZA Resolution 2013-237. They have live bands along with trivia that I think Mr. Burr hosts once a week. They keep volume at a low level to encourage conversation. Additionally, because there's high-class, high-priced residences above World of Beer, they have an incentive to keep it low to not upset the landlord. The manager of the operations is Charles Johnson. He served as GM since the restaurant's opened. Also, John Stein works day-to-day and serves as the manager as well. All licensees have completed the alcohol awareness course because they have been in operation since 2013. As for need for a Class B license, Article 9-2004.1 F2 Romanet 4 authorizes up to 3 licenses. And secondly, with offering this many beers from around the world, it's a unique concept that is important to the community. Also, within your file is a letter of support from Locust Point Civic Association in our application. And both applicants have reviewed the rules and regulations and would be to agree to abide by them.
Did you say, are they currently trained in the alcohol awareness?
Yes, they've been in operation since 2013 under the Class D license, which they hope to transfer, so.
So they're currently a Class D, and that's getting transferred to Piazza, and so they're requesting a Class B. Is
Correct,
that
pending your approval. The restaurant also supports 30 jobs, I think 1/3 are full-time, about.
I just have a question. It says, this is from the zoning board, from Mr. Tanner. It says, application shall provide an approvable security plan for the days when live entertainment and dancing are to occur. Do we have that? Do we know about that? You can go ahead. She's here to save the day. Dun, da, dun.
Not at all, not at all. But Mr. Williams wasn't with our firm when we did that original application. We did submit that to the zoning board.
So we do have a security plan in place.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And they haven't had any incidents. It's not.
All right, I'm
Yes.
looking at it. Just need to ask.
It currently has a license. A
D,
D,
which they're
and
gonna-
you're gonna put that on hold while you get this B, and then transfer it to the next. Okay, just wanna make sure.
Yeah, so the basic issue is that they had always wanted to be licensed, but because the food requirement was so high in the McHenry Road development, they weren't sure they could make
Has
it.
the legislature changed the food requirement?
So Senator Ferguson is going to introduce legislation, or might have already, even as of today, to reduce the food requirement in this district. So in anticipation of that,
So this doesn't meet it?
well, we think we will, and we think we will with, for sure, when the limit is formally reduced to 51%.
Well, it's 61 now, so.
65.
you-
65.
65, so you feel that you meet the 65. But if and when Senator Ferguson's bill gets approved and signed, it will get reduced, and then you'll be well within the limits.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
But you still think, it's your proffer, that you'll be well within the limits of the 65?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. This is the last one that was approved by the,
That's correct.
this, okay. I'm a yes?
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
Thank you all.
And just for the record, I believe it meets the requirements under Article 2B, Section 10202. Just for the record. So he's-
Pizza.
He's got the next one, I'm sure.
So we got the next one.
Yes, I'll be
Because
back up.
this is the next one, he's gonna want the D one.
David Crocetti, Jennifer Ganaris, and that's McHenry Row LLC, trade name Piazza. That is 1602 Whetstone Way, a Class D beer and wine. Application for transfer of ownership and location from 1724 Whetstone Way, outdoor tables, outdoor seating, and off-premises catering as well. Justin.
All right, counsel.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Justin Williams from Rosenberg Martin Greenberg. With me to my right is Dave Cosetti, licensee applicant for Piazza McHenry Row LLC.
Crocetti.
Yeah, Cosetti.
Thank you.
May I proceed by way of proffer?
Yes, sir.
As a first matter, I'd like to enter the exhibits handed to you as collective Exhibit 1.
So entered.
And so to please the chair, I'll hit the highlights for you so you can read at your own speed. This follows the previous application.
Counsel, it's your case. Do whatever you want. You know, I'm just here to call balls and strikes. You're here to represent your client.
Certainly.
Okay? Okay.
So this license application follows the one you previously heard. We are seeking to transfer the Class D license from World of Beer to this location at 1602 Whetstone Way. The other licensee applicant is Jennifer Ganaris. She is the Baltimore City resident. She cannot be here today. She is a Baltimore County School principal. Ms. Bailey Hedgepeth indicated that she would not need to attend the hearing.
Indicated what? I'm sorry.
She would not need to attend the hearing, or she would be
Okay,
excused.
okay.
She would
Excused.
be excused.
All right.
So as I mentioned, this is a transfer from World of Beer. World of Beer pursuant to the, your board's approval of that Class B license to World of Beer. The licensee applicant to my right is David Crossetti. He is a self-employed restaurateur. Previously to owning 6 restaurants, he was employed as an investment banker at Ferris Baker Watts. He's been in operation at Piazza since 2015, the summertime. In the file of exhibits, there is an article in the Baltimore Sun that discusses what it offers, and there's a menu is also for your review. Piazza is a fast and fiery and fresh, fast casual eatery, which serves fire oven cooked pizzas, gourmet salads, and grilled piattas, which are Italian thin crust dough rolled up, and with your choice of toppings, like Chipotle, but for pizzas and salads and piattas. The licensed premises is shown in the floor plan in the exhibits. It takes the space that was formerly occupied by Green Turtle before it reduced its size. It's in the McHenry Road development. There's also requests for outdoor table service, which is permitted by the PUD, a copy of which is in your file as well. The hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. There will be no live entertainment provided here as well. Mr. Crossetti manages the day-to-day operations along with an assistant, Rahul Sharma, who has over 5 years of experience in restaurants. Additionally, Mr. Crossetti was born and raised in Baltimore, and he grew up in the restaurant business as well with a family-owned restaurant, Costello's, in Brooklyn, Maryland?
Yeah, Baltimore City.
Baltimore City. So he's a lifelong restaurateur at heart, and after getting out of banking, went into the restaurant business and is back to it. He has completed an alcohol awareness course and has a certificate in your file. He would argue and say that there is a need for the 7-day Class D beer and wine license at this location, as it is a well-received restaurant that provides a build-your-own pizza experience, which is unique to the area. We've also met with Locust Point Civic Association, actually last night, and they provided a letter of support in favor of the project. He has reviewed the rules and regulations of the board and agrees to abide by them.
Are there any other community or civic associations within the bounds of this?
No, so Locust Point is the only
Okay, all right,
active group.
okay. Commissioners?
They don't serve liquor at this location right now.
So right now, there's no license at all.
No
And
license
they're
at all,
seeking a
but it's
Class
in
D.
operation.
Correct.
It's in operation.
Right, so they're seeking a Class D for beer and wines, a couple of beers and a
Transfer
couple of
from-
wines.
Previous one.
How long have they been in business?
Summer 2015. But again, without alcohol sales.
No problem.
Is there, is the second applicant, is there a pecuniary interest
Yeah, I
there?
looked at that.
There was an oversight in the application. We will amend it with your permission to add Ms. Gunaris as a
And she'll get 1%, so,
ownership interest in the company. And
Okay.
update the board's file.
all right. And then you have to recalculate the others then.
Right.
Okay.
This restaurant also employs about 30 people with jobs, and there's about 1/3 of those are full-time.
It seems to meet the requirements under Article 2B, and then just amend the application, submit it to the board. And I'm a yes.
Two, I'm a yes, you have 3 yeses, but make the amendments, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
What are they doing here? New client, new B.
Kenneth Plant, Dead End Bar and Grill, LLC, trade name is Dead End. That's at 933-35 Fell Street, a Class B, beer, wine, and liquor. This is a new Class B restaurant license under Provision 2B 10201D 7 with $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures, facility, and a seating capacity of 75 people. Just for the record, I did receive a copy of a letter of understanding that I've added to the file. I believe that Mr. Kudinski will be providing that.
That's correct. For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicant. This is an application for a new Class B license down on Fell Street. Some of you may remember or not remember. It's been a place there known as the Dead End for years and years and years. Prior to Prohibition, it's next to where the Red Star is. And it's been a fixture. The lady that owned it sold it and left and went to North Carolina. The building was purchased, and now it's going to be made into a restaurant with a Class B license. We were here the last time. If you do or don't remember, there was a question. There was application for the first and second floor. They reached an agreement where they're only going to use the first floor. I sent a letter to the executive secretary withdrawing the second floor. At that time, they also met with the community into some other issues, and at this point, I would submit, and the community member is here in case you have any questions. That is and I have some extra ones here just so you can.
For the record, there's an interlineation. It says hours of operation 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's the correct. Yes. With the interlineation.
That was agreed to
10 to
today.
11? Okay.
10 to 11, Sunday through Thursday.
Right.
With the exception of special events, 11 to 1 on Friday and Saturday. And the other restrictions that are in there are agreed to by the licensee applicant in this case.
Okay.
Now,
Do you have a letter from the community?
it's right here. This is the one I just gave you.
It's from the licensee.
No, this is the community member here.
Oh.
They made the arrangement. They were here. If you want to hear from the community member, just to put it on the record.
Sure.
I would.
Yeah, give your name
Yeah.
and address, because I know
need
you
be
wanted to
sworn
talk.
in.
Raise your hand.
Raise your right hand.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
So Nicholas Jabko, and I live at 931
Spell the
Nicholas
last name.
Jabko, J-A-B as in boy, K-O.
Okay.
And you're representing the Fells Point Residents Association, is that correct?
Well, I speak. I mean, I don't officially represent them, but I'm present
for
to.
them.
Yes, I'm here for them.
And that
yes.
was the agreement that was made
Yes.
with the licensee, and was one of the things that were negotiated from the last time we were here.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
I see you had
I had the letter in
had
the.
a letter in the file. Okay. And you're fully in support
I
of
am.
the license?
Yes, I withdraw,
Group is.
and the group
and the
is
group
yes.
is, Right.
Is this a memorandum of understanding or just
This was the agreement they made here. Well, we can ask that be incorporated as part of the,
part of the license?
Yes.
Okay.
in addition to that, and we had previously submitted, and I think you have in your package, the floor plan, the capital and investment, and also the menu. If you want, I can reintroduce them or just see the ones that are in there. Secondly, we do have some petitions that we had from last time for people in the neighborhood to show that they are, people in the neighborhood were in favor. You want to see these? Yeah, okay.
The only thing that's going to be in operation is the first floor.
Just the first floor.
Are they renovating the other two floors?
Now, there's a restriction on what they can do pursuant to the agreement, no seating or servicing customers on the second, third floor, no building or any new additions on the second floor. It's going to keep that as additional open space, not anything to do with the license. Submit as an additional exhibit. That's the original
Thank
copy
you.
of a petition by people in the neighborhood.
Right, we need to attach this, put this in the record.
Yeah, I don't know whether you're marking your exhibits or how you're handling it, but
That would be Exhibit 2. Exhibit
Two
1
and
is a letter. The copy of the petition is Exhibit 2.
and the other ones you have already pre-marked with regard to the menu and so forth.
I have the floor plan and your letter of January 5th as part of the file.
Mhm.
I do not have them. I think I'm missing the menu.
Menu?
There's no menu in the
is good.
file.
Here, I'll give you.
I will mark that Exhibit 3.
Additionally, my last exhibit that I'm going to give you, and I think it's interesting to me. We have one letter of support from the controller of TB&C, which is located at 900 South Wolf Street, from Ryan Kowajewski, and also signed by Patty Stahoviak, who's Vice President of Finance and Operations at TB&C. It's not often I get a chance to use those Polish names here, but I will.
Thank you.
So that would be the package that would be submitted. As far as the applicant, he has been working at the Red Star for the past 4 or 5 years. Prior to that, he worked at the Waterfront Hotel. If you're familiar with the area, the Red Star is next door. The Waterfront is probably a block and a half away, across from Kevin Plank,
Recreation Pier.
old Recreation Pier. I was 1958 ping pong champ there.
Sign the outdoor entrance for Homicide.
Life in the city.
Thank you.
And the reason why I was ping pong champ because there was only one other player and he only had one arm.
Mr. Kadensky, you never fail to entertain.
That's a true story.
And how do I know on this entree that's a free-range chicken? It could be just a
Well,
regular
there's
chicken.
some of them still from the Arundel Concrete that are back there. They're frozen in time.
Okay.
What is the financing behind this? It's Empire Real Estate Investment
Mr.
Company?
Silverstein have developed probably 25 properties down there. They're the ones that are financing it. All the properties from Central Avenue all the way through Fells Point. He's been influential in financing them. If you want to hear from him.
Properties? And he's got a secure lien against the property and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
business.
Is he's already on a license?
Well, it was originally this was applied for as a D in here, but it's not. That D is not going through. It'll be withdrawn.
Got it.
That was the old license.
Correct.
I don't know if it's even valid anymore, but I think in full disclosure, he said he had put his name there.
That license dead?
Yes.
You heard that right.
Just want to make sure.
You heard
on the
that.
record.
You heard that right.
It's until Easter.
Till
Until Easter, or until you need it for somebody else, right? Okay.
That would be an official
And
judicial
when does it
determination.
begin, renovation? Has it already begun the renovation?
They've started gutting it, and so forth, so they're in the process at this point. And the building, if it goes, part of it's on Fell Street, part of it's on Wolf Street, comes where the point is down there. Yeah.
And they're going to renovate the outside of the building too, right?
They have historical problems down there,
Yeah, it's been painted.
and you got to get the Architectural Review Board,
I
the
know.
Historical Review Board, the Hysterical Review Board, everybody has to agree.
Okay.
He's a yes. Article 10, 2B, 10.202. I'm a yes.
I agree. I'm a yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kadensky.
You're in violations, Doc.
Now we're in the violation.
Violations.
Good point.
Ready? Who's doing that?
I don't know.
Fogelman or-
Fogelman's
Are we
first.
ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Mustafa Jackson, Brittany Moore, 414 LLC. Trade name is King and Diamonds. This is at 414-16 East Baltimore Street. A Class BD7, an adult entertainment license. There are 4 charges in regards to violations of Rule 4.17, Rule 9, Code Compliance of the Adult Entertainment Code, another violation of Rule 4.17, and another violation of Rule 9 of the Compliance Code. I believe we have all the officers here in order to testify.
Mr. Fogelman, what are we going to do?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Very nice to see you. This will be a not guilty plea at this
Okay,
point.
we're going to have everyone sworn in, including your clients.
I raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the
do.
Yes. Okay. This is a violation hearing, so let's hear about the violation first. Who wants to go first?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to start with the August 8th first one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On 8/8/2015, oh, I'm sorry, Detective Garrett, SES Vice Unit,
Okay.
Baltimore City Police Department. On 8/8/2015, at approximately 11:30 p.m., this detective entered the Kings and Diamond Strip Club in an undercover plainclothes capacity. Upon entering the club, this detective acted as a patron with the purpose of being possibly solicited for prostitution. At approximately 11:50 p.m., this detective was approached by a black female wearing a two-piece leather outfit with silver stones on seam. She was light-skinned, 5'3" in height, with around 150 pounds with curly black hair. She made eye contact with this detective and then approached where I was seated. She then began to dance on this detective while I was seated at the bar. After she finished dancing, she then sat on a stool beside me and asked my name. I told her my name and we began a conversation. I then asked her name, and she told me her name was Sabrina, but her club name was Peaches. She then asked me if I thought she was sexy, and I told her yes. She then told me that, not to cuss, she told me that she was tight and that she knew that I wanted some. I then said to her that I did. She told me that it would cost me. I asked her how much, and she told me $200 and to pull my penis out and we could have sex at the bar. I then told her that I didn't want to have sex at the bar, and she said for $50 more we could get a private room. I then said to her that I needed to go to my car and get more money, and I exited the club. Armed with her description, I relayed the description to Detective Greenhill, which was able to identify Peaches from her Maryland identification as Sabrina Valentino Robinson, black female, date of birth 6/11/1978. A criminal summons was obtained for the incident, and all events occurred in Baltimore City, state of Maryland.
Cross.
Thank you. Detective, you indicated in your report that you showed up at 11:30, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, even though we haven't gotten to it yet, you might be familiar with Detective Gatto's report, where he says he showed up at 9:30. So my question for you was Detective Gatto in the club when you got there?
We went in together.
Okay. So you went in together at 11:30.
From my recollection,
You didn't go in there at 9:30, 2 hours earlier.
I could have got the times mixed up, but we went in together.
You went as a team.
Yes.
And then you broke up and
Yes.
talked to different
Yes.
people. Okay. And could you describe the layout of the club for me?
When we went into the doors, it was like a big, I guess, bar in the middle of the floor. And I went to the left, so where I was sitting on the side of the bar, to my immediate right was like a stool in a corner, and it was the big bar. I never went past the bar.
Right. But you were about 15 feet from the bar? Further
I was actually sitting at the bar.
when the conversation occurred?
Yes.
All right. Did any conversation, this alleged conversation, occur in the presence of any other persons?
No, it was just me and her.
Okay. And did you actually, as I say, when you describe the club, it doesn't have any private spaces to the best of your knowledge, does it?
I did not go past the bar, so I don't know.
All right, but anything in the main area of the club, there's no separate area that's enclosed that you can't see into?
The only thing I could remember when we went into the club, like I said, we went to the left, and I sat at the bar, and behind me it was like a wall, and it was like a bench or a stool or whatever. It was like a bench in the corner of the wall. That's all I saw because I never went beyond
Right.
any point past the bar.
Okay. And again, there was never any talk about paying a bartender or anything like that, was
Not
there?
that I recall, no.
Or anyone else at the club? Okay. I have. All right, and on this particular evening, did you consume any alcoholic beverages in connection with your undercover duties?
Yes.
Okay, how many beverages did you consume?
I had a Corona that I never even finished.
Okay, but that's standard practice.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And you were in the club for how long?
Probably an hour or so.
Okay. And that's all I have for you. Thank you very much, Detective.
I have a question, Detective.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little confused. Just correct me. Based on what counsel has asked you, you went in at 11:30.
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Were you outside watching before you went in? Because I have another 9:30 here. I mean, what's the story?
I may have mixed up the times. I don't know what that is with the times, but me and Detective Gatto went in at the same exact time. So it may have been 9:30, and I put 11:30. I don't know why I would have put that, but it's no question that we went in at the same time.
At 11:30.
Well,
That's what I put.
Did you, wait a minute. Did you enter, did you observe from the outside for any period of time before you entered into the building? I
No.
guess that's my question.
No.
You went straight in at 11:30.
Yes.
Okay. I know you want to say something, but we're going to get to you. Okay. All right. So then this gentleman contacted the lady and made identification of the lady. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, for the record.
Detective L.C. Greenhill, SES Vice.
Okay, and you made contact with hold on a minute, with Peaches.
Yep.
Whatever her name was.
Robinson, Ms.
Cabrina Robinson. Miss Cabrina Robinson. And you ID'd her.
Yes,
Is that correct?
based off of the stage name, I ID'd her with the help of aid of the employee records also.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Fogelman?
Yes, thank you. Detective, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
You didn't make a copy of her driver's license or anything like that, did you?
No.
Okay. So how were you able to identify her if you had never seen her before?
Based off of her stage name and again by the employee records, and that night I did have each dancer when I was doing the checks, each dancer come up with their ID so I could match it with the employee records as well.
All right. And you were not present for either of the alleged events?
That's correct. I was
right.
not present.
Right. And is it a newer policy? Let me just ask you to explain why suspects weren't arrested on the spot.
In recent cases, the reason the suspects aren't arrested on the spot is because we have ongoing investigations by separate units. Usually an arrest on the block can compromise those cases.
Very well. Thank you.
Okay.
Detective Abraham Gatto, Vice Unit. I can clarify some of these questions here. On the same date, at 21:30, Detective Garrett and I entered 414 East Baltimore Street, which is
21:30 is police talk.
21:30 is 9:30.
9:30.
Yeah,
Right,
so
okay.
we entered the club, and actually in his statement he said we were there for a while. We got drinks. He and I were seated next to each other. We went into the bar. We went to the left-hand side, and there is we sat with our backs to a large mirror. The stage is right in front of us. I would guesstimate the distance from the stage and where we were seated is the same distance that we are facing one another right now. We ordered drinks. I'll then go into the dancers, and there were various dancers in the bar prior to us meeting the two young ladies that we're speaking about. The dancers would approach you. They, at many times, would walk up and they'd put their rear end on you. They would spread your legs open so they could put their rear end between your legs. They would take your hands off the bench or off your, wherever you had your hands. They would put it on their private areas. During the course of the time being in there, Detective Garrett and I stayed at the seats that we were initially had sat in. We watched the various things going on. There were people coming in and out of the club.
You were together?
Yes, sir. We were
To each other?
we had one seat in between each other. Yes, seated right next to each other. There came a time where a female, and I'll reference to my notes here, by the name of Shadira Jacobs, black female, 22394. She approached me at 23:30 hours. I began speaking with her. She asked me to come back to a private area, which he was trying to describe, an area that he never went to, in the back of the club, where there's lounge chairs, different seating areas. She said, "I'd like to have a dance for you." So I paid the bartender that was working at the time for this private dance. While back there, we engaged in a conversation. I proceeded, and I'm going to use a street term. I said, "Look, I'm trying to fuck you tonight." She says, "What do you mean? What do you want to do?" I said, "Like I said, I want to have sex with you." She said, "Well, you're probably going to have to wait till I get off work." She was kind of looking around, looking who was nearby. There was no security or anyone watching the area. There was just people in the bar. It was just her and I in this back room. She said, "Look, if we do this after work, I need to get taken care of." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, I want $300 up front, and then after sex, I want $300. I agreed, sure. As I started to get up, I said, "Look, I'm going to go out and take care of my business, and I'll come pick you up," because she told me she got off around 2 or so. She then said, "So, well, wait a minute. If you give me $300 up front, we could find a place in here, or I could give you another dance, and we could have sex right here." And again, I said, "Sure," because I had already made my first deal. But that was the mindset of the club was, we could do it here in the club, which kind of told me in an investigative way that that may be the practice. It was, as my partner testified, hey, we could do it here at the club, or here at the bar, which is an open public area. And then the female I was with said we could do it right there on the couch, which is right behind the bar. I then left the bar. I notified Detective Greenhill of the description of the dancer who I'd met. She told me that her name was Silk. That was her stage name. She didn't give me her government name, but I was able to describe what she was wearing and her hair. Detective Greenhill went over and identified all the female employee dancers in the club, and then was able to return that information to me. I went ahead and wrote a summons for court. And all events occurred in Baltimore City.
Mr. Fogelman?
Thank you very much. Detective Gatto, it sounds like you were at the club for closer to 2 hours. Isn't that right?
Well, in my report states 21:30, so around 9 o'clock to the time where the engagement with Mrs. Shadira Jacobs was 23:30. So, yes, sir.
All right. And so maybe you say 9 o'clock, so maybe 2.5 hours you were there.
Possibly, yes, as the report reflects.
And in fact, in Detective Garrett's report, he talks about 11:50 p.m. So we're coming up on 3 hours that you're in this club now, right?
Well, if his report, you got to understand, as I testified, there was a point where we broke off. He was dealing with one prostitution case, whereas I was dealing with another. So did that mean mine had to end the same time his did? Not necessarily.
Right, but you just testified that you were there from somewhere around 9 o'clock to
Right,
at least 11:30.
and each time I write approximately, so that's the approximate time I can give you. That's all it is.
No, that's fine. Now, you also consumed alcoholic beverages that night, did you not?
A couple sips because I don't drink.
But did you order more than one beverage during the evening?
One drink.
Okay. And you indicated that Miss Jacobs was looking around nervously, is it fair to say?
When I posed the question, it kind of makes sense now because later she said, "Hey, well, maybe we could do it here real quick." I mean, she just was looking around to see who may have been paying attention to what we were doing. Because, it is a private room, and usually in these places there are security that are focused in on what's going on.
Right, and you mentioned a private room, but there's no
what they call
blacked
it.
out windows,
Right.
right?
It's what they call it. Let's go to a private, I mean, it was her own word saying, a private room. That's what they refer to their little, it's like a lounge and
Okay, but
seating area.
But by saying private room, that doesn't necessarily imply it's an opaque room.
It's a
right?
figure of speech, yes.
And it's completely a transparent room that you could see back there from where you were. Isn't that right?
From where I was, were you asking from the bar?
Right.
Somewhat, because the couches, I mean, you'd have to be standing. Seated at the bar, I wouldn't necessarily be able to see due to the couches and the way it's again, this is a strip club. It's very dark back there. So from one end to the club to the other, especially that back area, it is not lit the way the stage is lit.
Obviously, but at the same time, it's not a room in which the naked eye cannot see through and into that room if you were to come up to that room.
Right.
Okay. And in fact, they don't have any lap dance booths there at that club. Isn't that right?
Well,
But you know what I'm talking
Well,
about. Other
but-
clubs have.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is because there's many clubs that we have investigated that have lazy boy chairs just sitting in the corner, and that's their lap dance area.
All right, and I have nothing further. Thank you.
Detective Greenhill, as a result of Detective Gatto's investigation, did you then meet up with Miss Jacobs for the identification of Miss Jacobs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how did that occur?
And based off the information in the stage name, I was able to match up her ID with the employee records.
Okay, Mr. Fogel.
Thank you, Detective. We've probably done hundreds of these cases. And how many cases was $600 offered for sex? Because I can't remember one that high down on the block.
Are you just asking in general or
Yeah.
pertaining to this case?
No, pertaining to. I mean, are there? You're the point man on all these cases. Have you heard of anybody offering $600?
In my time, I have offered more than 600. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Now, this detective, is the back room where the lap dance or the sexual act was supposed to be performed, is that totally closed off? There are no doors on it?
There are no doors. It's almost it's like you step up on like a little step, and it's a platform area where there's just couches. There's just seats all the way around where numerous patrons can get lap dances at the same time. But in this case, there was no one back there. And with the darkened lighting, if a gentleman were to unbuckle his pants and a dancer was to straddle him, which is what happens in some of the lap dances, it is very possible it could happen. Very possible.
Move to strike. Anything's possible. I don't think that was responsive to your question.
Well, it goes to the weight and credibility, Mr. Fogelman. We'll take that under consideration. So I'll deny your motion, but we'll take it to weight and consideration. Anything's possible. I mean, it's possible that I could win $1 million, but it hasn't happened yet.
I haven't checked my losers yet,
Haven't
so.
checked it either, so anything's possible. I mean, there could be, an apocalypse of some sort.
Thank you, officers.
All right. Your
Thank you.
case-
Yes. I'll call Mr. William Shepard. Mr. Shepard,
How you doing? My name is William Shepard.
and you are the manager at 414 to 16 East Baltimore Street, Kings and Diamonds.
Yes, sir.
All right. What are your hours? How many hours do you work a week at the club?
Approximately anywhere from 50 to 60 hours.
All right. And you were not present in the club on August 8th that evening?
No, sir, not at the beginning.
All right. What was the first that you heard of these charges?
They got in touch with me because Detective Greenhill wanted to go through the employee records, so I came in and proceeded to help him go through the employee records.
And that was on the evening of August 8th?
Yes, sir.
At any time, was it indicated that they were going to be charged?
No, sir.
Okay.
That was never even brought up. Detective Greenhill told me actually that I had the best record-keeping system out of all of the clubs down there, and he told me that I need to be careful because I have a lot of girls that come from in and out of town. That way I wouldn't get in trouble for something like this. He told me that night that they were looking for another female.
All right, but did he mention that there was suspected or alleged solicitation in the club at that time?
None whatsoever.
Okay. All right. So when did you find out that there was a prostitution or solicitation charge involving your premises?
Months later, one of the girls had got a summons in the mail, and then she came to the job and showed it to me, and I really didn't know what was going on. I was like, I don't understand how any of this could happen because I didn't get a violation. I didn't get anything. I didn't understand what was going on. I was thinking that she must have got herself in trouble somewhere. I was like, I don't even understand where this came from. So then, about a month after that, I received a violation.
All right, so let's talk about who came to you first with the charges? Was it Miss Jacobs or Miss Robinson?
Miss Jacobs.
All right, and Miss Jacobs, what did she admit or deny the
She
allegations?
denied it. She said that she said that she remembered the conversation due to the amount of money, but she said that she had told the man that all she would do was dance with him.
Did she indicate whether sex was ever discussed?
She said sex was never discussed,
All right.
never at one time.
I mean, so what did you do in response to her statement to you?
I mean, I didn't know really what to do at that point in time, so I just told her that, you know, I think it's probably best that we part ways until all of this mess gets situated.
All right, and have you, has your establishment ever been, have you ever had someone charged with prostitution in your establishment before?
Not to my knowledge, no, not in my establishment at all, no.
Okay, and at some point, how did you discover the charges against Miss Robinson of the same night?
When we got the violation, because and the other girl's paperwork, it had the other girl's name in it as well.
All right, and again, did she admit or deny the allegation?
She denied it. I mean, what he said really didn't make sense to me anyway. Like, it doesn't even add up. How could you possibly perform an act like that in front of a room full of people at the bar?
Well, let me ask you this. So was she let go, or does she still work there?
No, I told both of them that I had to get through this. Like, I'm not saying that I don't believe what they're saying and not saying that I don't believe what the officer is saying. I just had to take a step back and make a business decision on what was going on.
Tell me about the practices you use to prevent illegal activity from occurring in the establishment.
Well, first off, in response, we have no rooms or anything like that where somebody can go into to even perform that type of an act. Like he said, you step up and everything is seen. I have pictures of the bar where I can show you how everything is seen in the wide open. And then on top of that, like, I have a very strict hiring process, and a girl might come in, or an independent contractor might come in and apply for a job, but they might not get hired for weeks at a time until we go through an extensive, like, I can't say background check, but I'll go myself and get on MarylandJurisdiction.com and casesearch.com and make sure that I'm not hiring anybody that is a potential threat to the licenses.
So since you brought that up, do you remember what Miss Jacobs' prior criminal history was?
She has none.
All right. And Miss Robinson, did she have a prior criminal history?
She did, but it hasn't. She hadn't gotten in trouble in, I swear, maybe 12 years, 15 years, something like that. And I feel as everyone deserves a second chance. I'm not going to hold anything against anyone, especially if I seen that you're doing the right things and you haven't been in trouble in so long. I will give somebody a second chance.
All right. So you were comfortable that neither of them were on probation or parole or had any pending charges,
No charges,
or
no
any
nothing.
charges for at least 15 years when you hired them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you want to show a picture of your interior of the club to the board so they can view its open air floor plan?
If you pull it apart, you can zoom in.
If you see, okay, sure.
Because Mr. Trotter wants to know about where the couches are in reference to these pictures.
Well, it appears to be that there's curtains that are in, if you look at this picture, on the back left side, and then there's curtains on the right side, which would, they're white curtains. Now, the place of course, that picture there, it's illuminated. You know, it's like night and day compared to when you would go in this evening. But if you can see that there's like, seems to be in the back, and that would be the area where there is a privacy lap dance section.
And I object to the characterization of private, because I think that's going to be something for you to decide.
And or curtains.
Mr. Shepard has indicated to me, and I think the photos will make it clear, that those are sheer curtains that you can see through. They are for decorative purposes only, and they don't even cover the entire structure. They're cordoned off. So it's a VIP area. They wanted to dress it up. No pun intended.
Who was the manager that night?
Mr. Shepard.
I am.
You were there
I wasn't there when it first happened. I came a little later.
But who manages it when you're not there?
Normally it would just be like a lead bartender. I'm always there, so that
So what you're saying is that there was no one responsible in the bar that night?
well, yes, the lead bartender. They've all been trained. They take alcohol awareness classes as well.
Bartender's at the bar, right?
Excuse me.
He's serving drinks at the bar?
Excuse me. I couldn't hear you.
He's serving drinks at the bar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So he doesn't have access to the entire floor.
Well, you can see everything the way that the floor is laid out. It's impossible to not see anything in the club at one time from any area. And there's mirrors going around the entire club. Like, it's impossible to not see anything. Literally.
Depends on how dark it is.
No, that's another thing. I could find another picture of the club while it's in during progress. There's plenty of lights. Plenty of lights. It's not dark by far.
Officer?
I mean, when we went into the club and we came in and we sat down, it was not as light as that. It was dark. I could not see from where I was sitting where my partner went in the back. I know he went to the back, but like I said, I never got up from the bar. I was always at the bar, sitting at the bar. And when he went to wherever he went in the back, I could not see back there. It was not light enough that I could see from one wall to the next wall.
Officer Green, when you went in?
As far as the lighting concerned, I had to have an aid of a flashlight because just based off of the darkness, I wouldn't be able to read the employee records or the flash and strobe lights that are situated throughout the club. But it was dark enough for me to have my own flashlight and visually check her ID as well as the employee records.
Okay, now I have an unrelated question for Detective Greenhill and maybe for you two gentlemen. In our case file, I see that Ms. Jacobs' case was steaded. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What happened to the other case? What happened to your case?
I'm not sure, sir. The day of the case, I received a call that I had a case at court, and I was told that I was being put on call if I was needed, and I was never called.
Yes.
May I inform the board, and this is something that I was wanting to say during my testimony, but about 10 years ago, there was an influx of prostitution cases where, and if I'm almost 90% sure I'm correct, that Judge Cooksey declared that all prostitution cases would go to North Avenue to receive an early disposition due to the fact.
Diversionary court.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of times what will happen is these young ladies, and it didn't happen in Ms. Jacobs' case because my case went all the way to the circuit court where she took a stet because it was her first offense. But maybe in Ms. Robinson's case where she does have a previous criminal record, she would be given diversion and be given the chance to complete the diversion program in the lieu of a null pros. They have to have some type of disposition, but the prostitution cases are completely different due to the influx of how many.
I get all that.
Yeah.
Now, Detective Greenhill, the gentleman testified that he wasn't given a violation that night. I can only assume, I hate to assume, use that word, no, let's just strike that word from the record. Explain to me the lapse in time in terms of him not getting the violation, in terms of them being charged criminally. Is there an explanation that I can have for that? Or what? Here's what I'm asking you. They weren't charged criminally until after this event, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then after they were charged criminally, then that's when the police report came to the liquor board, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there was a lapse in time between when these ladies got charged, when the liquor board got the report, and when the liquor board, Michelle, sent out the violation notice. Correct? Is that right?
Correct. Then we charged it and this was originally scheduled for November, and it was postponed twice.
Okay.
So it has been postponed.
All right. Okay.
No, but what was the lapse in time of the violation and the charge?
Basically, what we do is in this case, we write the reports within a couple of days. The reports then separate. That's the separate police report. But the criminal summons is done separately, where we actually charge the actual individual person involved in a violation. In this case, you're probably speaking of the violation for the bar itself. Again, that's based off. I can't really base that off of our reports, but from the time our reports leave police headquarters and make its way to the liquor board.
And they're sent to us on a monthly basis by Sue Fries. So we'll get a set of
So
reports
it's
for
just
a
a
certain
couple of
amount.
days before the violation went out to at least the charges for the two women, the prostitution charges.
Yes, sir. We tend to wait because we are deemed undercovers. So if we immediately charge these young ladies, that entire conversation and everything is going to be fresh in their mind because, as you remember, we didn't return to pick up our dates that night. So, and usually the thought is, well, it's because all the police came in, scared them off. Because when the police come into the block, people leave.
They're on television right now.
And that's one of our issues.
Part of the problems that he's talking about.
And let me just say, God forbid, the allegations should be fresh in the minds of the defendants as they need to prepare to a defense for these charges.
They've already had their defense. They've already went to criminal court. Right?
Yes, and if I may pick up, because you covered a lot of ground that I want to go over. First of all, Ms. Carbrino Robinson received a disposition of STET.
I got that.
She
I
did
saw
not participate in any diversion. I served as counsel of record in that matter. Ms. Jacobs also, without going into the diversionary program, received a disposition of STET.
Okay.
So no one did any community service. No one traded any kind of government services in order for a reduced penalty. Mr. Shepard has a photo that may be more representative of the lighting in the establishment that night. It's stage lights only on there. Detective Gatto mentioned that there would be a small flash from Mr. Shepard's phone. So that might give you at least a more representative idea of the lighting in the club when the club is operational.
Other than the head bartender, is there security? Or
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's always two security that work, and one on the front door and one on the inside.
And were they both present that
Yes,
night?
ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Shepard, I want you to tell the board about the exhaustive efforts you do to explain that you do not tolerate any type of criminal activity whatsoever at your establishment.
That goes without saying. We make the mall sign contract. We have the mall sign contracts like he has right here, where it tells them that we don't. I don't run that type of an establishment where there's drugs, prostitution, or anything illegal or illicit like that. I have a lot of responsibility on my head. There's 2 licenses there, so I do double duty.
You're saying the dancers signed
The
this?
independent contractors, yes, ma'am.
Will this be added to the file, Mr. Fogelman? A copy of this
Yes, please.
contract?
I'd ask that be admitted as an exhibit in this matter.
What number are we on?
I think we're on number
This
one.
is number 1, as I understand it.
That's my understanding. Good, because we can't put cell phones into evidence. So, all right, and so
When was this originated?
That's been standard since we've opened.
And is there anything we haven't covered? I think you've covered everything. All right, and that's all we have for now. I'd like to make some argument, unless there's any rebuttal testimony.
I don't think that the officers have anything else they want to add. Detective Greenhill?
No, sir.
No, sir. No. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, and thank you for bearing with me, because this is the first case I've had where the old rules and the new rules are still on the books. We've got the licensees being charged under the old rules. We have the benefit of the new rules to look at, or maybe even confuse us. But we'll start with the old rules, and I want to thank the executive secretary, because I didn't have the old adult entertainment rules with me, and I used to rely on my phone to get them. But when I pressed there today, the new ones popped up. So thank you very much. All right, so they're charged under Rule 9 and 4.17a, and they're terrible creatures. And so I once again applaud you for going through the burdensome task of of revamping these rules. Rule 9, code compliance, simply says that the premises of every adult entertainment business must be maintained in compliance with all applicable health, fire, building, zoning, police, and alcoholic beverage codes and regulations. What it doesn't say specifically is that you have to obey all state and federal laws. What is a police code? What is a police regulation? That sounds like a personnel manual. That sounds like, do we seatbelt people or not? That doesn't sound like a criminal law, okay? You can see on the case search for Ms. Jacobs, the law is very clear. It's a Maryland criminal law, prostitution or solicitation. Rule 9 doesn't even mention breaking the law. It says you're going to break this Rule 9 if you have a fire violation or you have a zoning violation, but it doesn't say that you break the law if you break this rule if you break the law. And therefore, I'm so glad to have good minds on this panel. It's clear to me that conduct was left out. So I don't believe that they can be found guilty of a Rule 9 when the charge is prostitution under the old Rule 9 as written. And in fact...
Are there any city laws on that? There's a city ordinance on prostitution, isn't there?
I'm not aware of that. And in fact, the only...
Is there a city ordinance on adult entertainment licenses and what they can do? I think there is.
All I know is the criminal...
That's what we regulate. We regulate that ordinance. And I think it has that in the ordinance.
Yeah, all I'm aware of under the old rules are the annotated Code of Maryland Criminal Law Section 11306, prostitution general. So
This is our own, yeah. Okay.
Rule 4.17a in the liquor laws, under the old rules, is equally toothless. It says you have to obey all laws. And we have to go to the old rule to look at whether or not, this is the worst language ever, does the licensee permit or suffer his premises to be used for the purpose of any sexual activity? And given the open and transparent nature of this club, it's been designed to discourage illegal activity. There are no dark corners. There are no blacked out rooms where you can go and not be seen by the general public. Mr. Shepard has roving security in an effort to go out of his way to make sure that nothing happens. So I don't see, Mr. Shepard even goes and case searches his prospective hires to find out who they are and what they're about. And I don't think Mr. Shepard could do more in order to vet his employees or to operate a more transparent facility of this nature. And so I strongly believe that Mr. Shepard exercised due diligence here. And if there is a conversation between two people closer than I am to Detective Gatto in a club with music, it is impossible for the licensee or the manager to know the content of all conversations taking place in the club. I don't even think the CIA could do that yet. So it's tough, and these cases were tough for me. But I have to argue that this is not strict liability. There's nothing in the statute that says if a conversation goes down in a club and it rises to the level of a criminal offense, then the owner is guilty. No more than if two people talked about a pending drug deal when they sat at a back table at a restaurant. That licensee is not necessarily responsible for that. So then you really have to look at what's the administration, what's the due diligence, what checks do you take? Do you just, person, gets fired across the street, walks in, you're hired? Is it that simple? If so, then you're not doing your due diligence. And ultimately, and I'm sure you're aware of the discussions in the city council about licensing employees so that they can be vetted and so that the liability will not always fall, and erroneously, a strict liability always fall on the licensees in this situation. But actually, you can de-license the performers instead, and you'll be prohibited from hiring an unlicensed worker in that regard. So, as I say, these were always tough cases, but I just want you to consider the transparent nature of the business and the due diligence that the licensee has done. And I don't know what more he could have done in order to prohibit two quiet conversations going on in various corners of the bar. And let me just say this too. So having done a lot of these, and you've now done a lot of, this board has now done a lot of these, okay? One thing I used to see all the time, and I think it's significant, is the employee says, or the independent contractor, the performer, says, yeah, we have to give $100 to the bartender. And then she'll go up to the bartender and have a conversation. But something showing a conspiracy that someone other than this independent contractor knows is going on. And we don't have that here. And you've had that in many cases in which you've suspended, because that there gives you, by a preponderance of the evidence of a conspiracy. We have no evidence of a conspiracy that would then put it on the licensee through negligence or through being in or through being in on it directly. And so you have cases where they come in, and they have many of them, so for many decisions that you've held in these regards, and they involve they often involve search warrants, where people come in with search warrants. They involve, and let me just cite this one specifically with Detective Gatto, October 4th, 2015, Circus Bar, 427 East Baltimore Street. Detective Gatto may remember that he made an agreement with an employee there and then went up to bar, and then the dancer went up to bar manager Terry Brosaker and engaged Detective Gatto in conversation, informing him what the price of the sexual activity would be. So I think Detective Gatto would agree with me that that's a slam dunk case, because you've got collusion, you've got conspiracy, and you can connect the dots all the way to the top.
Just not to interrupt, Mr. Fogelman, but I don't see a conspiracy charge here.
No, but I think that when I use the word conspiracy to identify what I think it takes to get a charge like this to stick, because it says the licensee may not permit, not
May not permit. The rule says shall not permit. And you were the chairman, and you know that it's a strict liability offense. You know it is.
There's no case law on that. There's no statutory.
But the rules say shall, no licensee shall permit, and you went to law school, you know shall is mandatory as opposed to may, which is discretionary. Well, we can argue it all day if you want to. I mean,
we went to the same law school.
Okay.
So my point here is that he has not permitted it. It may have happened in the corner of a bar.
You have in the bar that night.
Mr. Shepard, how many employees did you have in the bar that night?
I would say it was roughly around 20. What do you think,
No,
Detective
not
Graham?
dancers. I'm not talking dancers. I'm talking about people.
Oh,
in
just
the back.
employees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a DJ included. A DJ.
DJ included.
And a hype man. That's 6. I apologize because we have somebody on the
Outside
mic
your
too.
establishment.
Yes, sir.
That's one of them.
Yes, sir. 2 bartenders.
2 bartenders.
Yes, sir.
And who else?
2 security, 2 bartenders, 1 DJ, 1 hype man.
Okay.
So what we have here are 2 private conversations, and no one was found guilty. Nobody even got a PBJ. So we may never know the other sides of the story. What we do know is that Mr. Shepard and the licensees, they actually look at people's criminal records before they hire them, which is more than I can say any other bar, adult entertainment establishment that I know of does. And secondly, they make it a point to consistently attempt to enforce all laws. Why do you think Shadira Jacobs looked around furtively when there was this allegation of an offer for sex? It's because if indeed she was interested in engaging in illegal conduct, she very well knew that her employer did not approve of that proposition, and other employees would be able to discover that information and probably get her fired. So I'm going to rest on that. I'm not going to belabor this all day. I just see distinctions here. I see the $600. I never heard that in 7 years. It was he only had to pay Detective Gatto only had to pay $170 when he got the bar manager involved in the circus back in October. So right there, that just jumped out at me as something unusual. I think this case is very unusual. I think we need to find some way to connect the dots between the licensee and private conversations in order to impugn the business of the licensee. And I thank you very much for your extra time here this afternoon.
This is an adult entertainment establishment, right?
Absolutely.
And it has sexual content in the establishment, right?
I agree.
So it's not like sitting at a bar, at a restaurant table, talking about cocaine. It's talking about sex in a sex place. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think you would agree, Commissioner. It's a tough, with your double license, it's a tough business to run because here you bring in customers in who get interested.
But you expect it.
Right.
A licensee should expect illegal activity of some type. It's on a very fine edge of legality all the time. Okay, that's my only comment.
Thank you.
Any comment?
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't catch what you said. Did you say that you
I don't have my
terminated
I don't have the.
both of the dancers?
Yes, ma'am. I said that we both we had to take a break from one another, that they couldn't come here until all of this was resolved and I knew exactly what happened.
And I'd like to make one final comment, if I may, because it's about the new rules, and I want to really commend the board because I think they've cleaned this up. And it says Rule 3.17 of adult entertainment. No, I'm sorry. It's now Rule 3.18, illegal conduct and codes compliance.
Under the new rules.
Right, but I think the
Under the new rules, they say, and the testimony says, there's no illegal touching.
3.18, you're not charged with 3.18.
I know.
Well, no, but they've changed.
Testified to it.
They're charged under the old rule.
Yeah, I know.
Right, but my point I want to make here is that the new rules I think really are instructive to a liquor board. I mean, you all have come in and you've had plenty of time to do this, but if it's your first day, it's a nightmare. Those old rules. These new rules are great because they basically say that that we can suspend your license. And in fact, can somebody give me a copy of the new adult entertainment rules because I'm doing this on my phone.
There you go.
I'm not doing a good
You wanna
job.
do it? That's the new rule.
Thank you. Now, I want to make a point about these new rules because I think they are more helpful so that this won't happen. We won't have these questions anymore. And that is 4.01C of the new rule, of the new adult entertainment rules and regulations for Baltimore City says the board may also deny, suspend, or revoke an adult entertainment business license or renewal for a violation by an employee, agent, you've now added independent contractor, or vendor of any law if the offense occurred on the premises of the adult entertainment business and the owner, operator, or manager, 1, expressly or tacitly approved of the offense, 2, had actual or constructive knowledge of the offense, or 3, reasonably should have known of the offense, or 4, failed to properly supervise his or her employees or agents resulting in the offense. And I think that is helpful for licensees going forward because that's where it's not strict liability, failure to properly supervise. And that's different than strict liability. That means they have failed, not that it just happened. So anyway, hopefully we won't have to have this discussion ever again because the new rules are here.
Well, you can have a copy.
Thank you. I'll
Have that
take it.
copy. We'll take it. Charge you either.
And that's the last point I wanted to make. And I think you've made an improvement there in the rules.
Well, they're not charged under the new rules.
I
They're
know.
charged under the old rules because it happened in August, and we didn't do the new rules. We didn't start them until October, and they weren't approved until just recently. So they were charged under the old rules. They're charged under 4.17 and Adult Entertainment Rule 9. 4.17 says, Section A reads, no licensee shall permit or suffer his premises to be used for the purposes of sexual activity nor shall any licensee permit or suffer an employee, patron, or frequenter to solicit any person for prostitution or other immoral purpose. So you've got location, which is here, the person involved, which is our undercover police officers and our dancer, the solicitation. Rule 9 says, this rule states that the premises of every adult entertainment business must be maintained in compliance with all applicable health, fire, building, zoning, police, and alcoholic beverages and regulations. So, if we find that prostitution or solicitation occurred under 4.17, then violation of Rule 9 is basically a slam dunk, I think. So, my recommendation, or my finding, is sustained on all 4 counts. What were the priors? Any priors? Well,
I
we go
agree
to-
with
ahead,
the
go ahead.
analysis.
She says she agrees
I
with the
agree,
analysis,
I
all
agree.
4.
Yeah, I agree.
So what are the priors?
So, looking at the violation history, there was a series of charges that were dismissed in 2014. In 2012, on September 27th, 2012, there was an information on the charter, which was also canceled. In 2011, it was just recently, it was transferred. So anything before that, that's it. So there are no previous charges that were not dismissed by the board. So in 14, they were in front of the board, they were dismissed. In 12, they had a charter not in which was like a paperwork charge, which they paid in lieu of a hearing. So that's the only charges.
So it's only $500 is what they can be charged
Up
with
to
each
500.
violation, correct?
That would be correct, because of unless you were looking at the violation from the charter, which they chose to, but they were able to pay a hearing fee of $125. So
They were never found guilty.
they were found guilty, and that was 2012, right?
There's
The
nothing
finding.
on it. So this is essentially the first violation.
That would be correct.
So, my recommendation is $500 per charge, but I am going to listen to my fellow commissioners with regard to any additional penalties.
Well, I find having not, I could look over one solicitation in the night, something that happened, but having 2 officers approach 2 separate dancers and having the same basic charge coming up is a serious offense. It means they're not watching the store. Okay, so I agree with you for $500 for each offense.
I agree, and I agree with Commissioner Trotter. We have 2 different attempts for solicitation. The other issue for me is that the manager wasn't there. So there's at that time, and I understand that you can't be there every single minute of the day, but it sounds like there wasn't someone who had maybe oversight, and it was somewhat delegated to the head bartender, who presumably is behind the bar. So I'm in agreement with $500 per violation. So that's $2,000 plus $125 for administrative fees.
Now, is there any question about suspension? No?
I'm not in favor of
suspension right
suspension
now.
at this time.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to press my luck. Just ask you, it's 2 private conversations. It should be 2 charges. I'm not even going to say what used to happen. I'm just going to. Okay.
Mr. Fogelman, that's what you're going to ask me to merge.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to merge them. 2 separate police officers, 2 separate offenses, 2 separate nines.
Charges.
I think, to be honest, if we're going to be honest, I would have suspended them. Okay? So I think they're getting away lucky with the $2,000 and a hearing fine, because that's why I asked them if they were in favor of suspension. Because if one of them would have said yes, that would have been 2, then they would have been closed down. And I would have said 2 weekends. So I think, quite frankly, they got a good deal.
I thank you very much.
Okay.
It's always a
And I
pleasure.
came back close.
I saw it.
So we'll submit your, that's with 30 days to pay. So we'll provide you with a,
Thank you
with a
very
form.
much.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Mr.
Thank you for the
Mr.
extra
Fogelman.
time.
Oh,
Appreciate
good
it.
job, Mr. Fogelman, as usual.
Have a happy new year, Mr. Officers.
Okay, go ahead. Go,
Yes,
take your time.
let's-
Do whatever you got to do.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll get you guys
What, the
copies.
rules?
Yeah. I'll do you want me to email them to Sue? Yeah, I'll email Sue. I'll get you guys all
How's
copies.
the whole go?